Have you ever lived in a place but felt like you didn't really exist there? You go to the grocery store, the bank, your child's school, but inside you're invisible. You smile, you nod, you survive, but you don't speak. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you're afraid to say it in English. You've probably told yourself it's not that important. You've waited for the right moment. You've said, "Next year I'll start seriously." But what if I told you something uncomfortable? Most people living abroad without English don't just lose time, they lose parts of themselves they don't even notice, until it's almost too late. This is not a video about learning vocabulary. This is not a video about grammar. This is a video about voice, about identity, about the version of you that's been waiting for permission to speak for 10 years, or maybe more. And today, you'll meet that version. The one who finally said one sentence out loud and changed everything. This is the story of someone who stayed silent for a decade until life forced them to speak. What happened next didn't just change their English, it changed who they were becoming. And if you've ever felt like you're surviving abroad, but not really living, this story is for you. For 10 long years, she smiled when she didn't feel like it, nodded when she didn't understand, laughed at jokes she couldn't translate. Every day was survival, not life, like living behind a soundproof glass wall. People spoke, but the words never reached her heart, because they weren't in her language. She lived in the city, but not inside it. She walked through streets full of voices, yet none were hers. In the supermarket she pointed. At work she nodded. At home she stayed quiet. It was easier to be invisible than to feel the humiliation of saying, "Sorry, I don't speak English." But inside, something was dying. Every time she avoided a conversation, her world got smaller. One missed opportunity at the doctor's office, one misunderstanding at her child's school, one smile pretending everything was fine. It wasn't. The sentence she feared the most wasn't even in English. It was, "This is who I've become." She avoided one sentence for years. Can you say that again? Just 5 simple words, yet they felt impossible. Saying that meant showing weakness, but avoiding it meant losing her voice. One day she whispered it, slowly, trembling. "Can you say that again?" And the world didn't collapse. That was the beginning. From then on, she stopped saying, "Sorry, I don't speak English." She replaced it with, "I'm learning. Speak slowly, please." It was a tiny shift, but a huge identity change. No longer a victim of silence, but a participant in progress. That sentence didn't just open conversations, it opened doors. The silent crisis wasn't just about English, it was about identity. Every year without language was a year lost in a role she didn't choose, like being the background character in someone else's movie. But one sentence changed everything. "I am more than my silence." She wrote it on a sticky note and read it every morning. Silence, once her protection, became her prison. It used to feel safe. Now it felt suffocating. Her dreams were louder than her fear, and one day that was enough. She didn't wait to feel ready. She acted. She opened a podcast and repeated 3 words out loud, "I am here." And in that moment she truly was. The difference between living and surviving isn't dramatic. It's subtle. It's one sentence you dare to speak, one risk you stop avoiding, one truth you stop hiding from yourself. And for her, it was just the beginning, because staying hidden for 10 years, that has a price, and someone watching this might still be paying it. If you want to stay invisible, keep doing what I did. Wait for people to speak your thoughts. Smile instead of asking. Avoid eye contact when they say something you don't understand. And tell yourself, maybe they'll just move on. That's how you become a ghost in your own life. If you want life to stay small, let fear choose every word you say. Feel the panic rise when someone speaks English to you, and let it win. Look down, stay quiet, say nothing. But remember, every moment you choose silence, you shrink your future just a little more. If you want another decade to pass like this, keep waiting for the right moment. Wait until you feel fluent. Wait until you feel confident. Wait until you're perfect. Spoiler alert, that moment never comes. What does come is regret. Quiet, cold, and always too late. If you want regret to win, believe every lie you've repeated to yourself. I'm too old. It's too late. I'm tired. I missed my chance. Say these phrases every day, and eventually they become your truth. But what if you spoke one new sentence today instead? If you want to keep suffering in silence, ignore the voice inside that says, "There's more." Stay comfortable in your discomfort. Keep watching English videos without ever speaking. And when someone asks, "Why haven't you learned?" say, "I don't know," even though deep down you do. If you want to keep life on pause, keep blaming everything around you. The system, the money, the school, the time. Tell yourself fluency is only for the lucky ones. Watch others move forward while you stand still. It hurts, but you convince yourself you're fine. You're not. If you want to avoid the pain of change, just stay exactly where you are. Don't practice. Don't challenge yourself. Don't speak even when you're afraid. Just let English stay a dream, a beautiful possibility you never touched. And then ask yourself why everything feels stuck. But if you're tired of hiding, even just a little tired, then it's time. Time to say the sentence you were too scared to say. Time to answer when someone speaks. Time to speak when your body says wait. Because waiting for the perfect moment is the fastest way to lose another 10 years. It happened on a Tuesday night. Cold wind, quiet streets, and one terrifying moment. His wife collapsed in the kitchen, unconscious, no warning. He called emergency services, but when they picked up, he froze. The words in his head didn't come out. Only silence, panic, and a voice saying, "Hello? Sir? Are you there?" The words were there, somewhere, but his mouth couldn't catch them. He shouted in his native language, but they didn't understand. His hands were shaking, his heart racing. "She's not breathing! Help! Please!" But nobody understood, and in that moment he realized something. Fear had stolen his voice, and nearly his wife. Something snapped inside him. He didn't care about grammar. He didn't care about pronunciation. He needed to communicate. My wife, she not wake up. Broken, messy, imperfect. But the ambulance came. Because survival doesn't need perfect English. It needs courage. That night, he found his voice. After the hospital, after the tears, he sat alone. He thought about all the years he stayed silent, all the times he avoided English, all the missed chances to learn. And now, when it mattered most, he could barely speak. He whispered to himself, "Never again. I'll never be unprepared again." He started small. Every day he learned 3 English phrases for emergencies. "She needs help." "I don't feel well." "Where is the hospital?" He didn't wait for another crisis. He turned fear into fuel, and each phrase he practiced was like putting a weapon back into his hands. One morning he stood in front of the mirror and said out loud, "Fluency doesn't come from talent, it comes from practice." Again, slower, stronger, louder. "Fluency doesn't come from talent, it comes from practice." He said it until he believed it, until the shame turned into fire. He started talking to people, little by little, the cashier, a neighbor, a nurse. His English was still broken, but his determination wasn't. Every sentence felt like climbing a mountain, but each one he reached gave him more breath, more strength, more identity. Fear didn't win this time, and from that day forward, he made a promise. "I won't wait for fear to force me anymore." He called it his never again sentence. It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful. I will speak, even if I shake. Because sometimes it takes a moment of crisis to realize your silence was the real emergency all along. It doesn't happen suddenly. It creeps in. One skipped sentence. One avoided conversation. One, "I'll learn later." And slowly the brain adapts, not by growing, but by retreating. This is called learned helplessness. When you fail so many times, you stop trying, even when the door is open. Years of avoiding English become years of training your brain to expect failure. Not because you're incapable, but because you've repeated the same story. I'm bad at languages. People will laugh. I can't remember words. The mind listens. The neurons adapt. You build an identity based on fear, and something strange starts happening. Your self-image starts to shrink, not just in English, but in everything. You stop speaking up. You stop trying new things. Even your dreams start to feel too big. Why? Because the part of you that used to express now stays silent. Not just in language, but in life. You feel safe in silence, but that safety is a lie. It's the ego trying to protect you from feeling embarrassed, from sounding stupid, from looking weak. But that protection becomes a cage. You stop learning, not because you're lazy, but because the brain fears humiliation more than ignorance. So, here's a practical shift. Every morning, before your brain fully wakes up, speak English out loud for 30 seconds. Anything, a sentence, a thought, a description. Why? Because in that early moment, the brain is more flexible. It hasn't yet remembered your old fears. That's when you plant new seeds. Next, your self-description. For years, you've used weak language about yourself. I'm trying. I'm not good. I'm slow. Enough. Stand up. Say 3 powerful adjectives in English that describe who you are becoming. Say, I am focused. I am capable. I am brave. Don't just say it. Feel it. Then, and this might sound strange, make a pronunciation mistake. On purpose. Yes, really. Say a word wrong. Say it loud. Laugh at it. Why? Because this rewires the brain to see mistakes not as threats, but as data. And the moment mistakes feel safe, your learning speed triples. Finally, name one area of your life that deserves change. Say it out loud in English. I want to feel confident when I speak. I want to travel without fear. I want to lead meetings at work. Whatever it is, give it a voice, because silence protects your ego, but it also kills your future. Did you enjoy the content and it made a difference for you? Click on Super Thanks and support our work. You can waste years waiting for inspiration, but sometimes it's pain that wakes you up. For 10 years, she carried shame like a secret, always hoping one day she'd magically become fluent, but it wasn't a quote or a teacher that changed her. It was loss, and loss has a way of demanding transformation. She lost an opportunity, a friend, her confidence, and each time she told herself, next time I'll be ready. But there was no next time, only silence. Until one day, the pain broke her denial. She opened her mouth, trembled, and said her first full sentence in English. This is hard, but I'm trying. From that sentence, she began speaking through her pain, not after it. She started saying one honest sentence a day about what hurt. I feel alone. I'm afraid to sound stupid. I want to change. Each sentence became a thread she used to sew herself back together. Fluency stopped being about language. It became identity. Each time she practiced English, she wasn't just memorizing. She was becoming the kind of person who doesn't wait for permission, who doesn't shrink to fit in. She said to herself, I'm not learning English, I'm building who I am. Living abroad without English had felt like living underwater. You could see life, but not touch it, hear the music, but not sing along. People smiled, but the connection never reached your chest. And the worst part? You started to believe that maybe you didn't belong anywhere, not here, not there, just floating. But she made herself a promise. Every single day, 30 seconds of real English, not studying, speaking, to a stranger, to a mirror, to her phone. I'm tired today. The weather is beautiful. I made a mistake. Every sentence became an anchor, pulling her out of the fog. And then something shifted. One morning, without planning, she joined a conversation at the cafe. She didn't freeze. She didn't apologize. She spoke, slowly, imperfectly, freely. And the moment she did, the world opened. Not because she sounded fluent, but because she felt alive. She imagined her ideal moment in English, standing in front of a room, introducing herself without fear, talking to her child's teacher confidently, ordering food with a joke and a smile. She wrote those moments down, not as dreams, but as destinations, and each English sentence became one more step toward them. The first time you speak after years of silence, your voice feels foreign, like using someone else's mouth. This isn't just emotional, it's neurological. Your brain has literally rewired itself to avoid speaking. The motor cortex, the part responsible for movement, becomes inactive from years of, "I'll speak later." But it's not permanent. It just needs reactivation. Think of your brain like a car that hasn't started in years. Dusty engine, cold battery. But once you turn the key, once you repeat, things begin to move again, slowly at first, unsteady. But then, one day your voice warms up. You feel it in your jaw, your breath, your confidence. That's neuroplasticity in action. Your brain needs small wins to release dopamine, the motivation chemical. But most learners chase big results and feel nothing, so their brain shuts down. Instead, celebrate micro-victories. I introduced myself today. I understood a podcast sentence. I asked a question in English. Each tiny win says to your brain, let's keep going. And then comes emotional memory. For years, English was tied to fear, tests, judgments, humiliation. Your brain remembers that, not the grammar, so we have to overwrite it with new emotional experiences. Speak in safe spaces, smile while learning. Talk about things you love. When English feels good, your brain stops fighting. Now here's a practical shift. Speak English during one uncomfortable moment each day. Order food. Ask for help. Say your name in a group. Why? Because fear loses power through exposure. Each time you survive a scary moment, your brain rewires. It says, maybe this isn't dangerous anymore. In the next 30 days, you can do more for your fluency than in the past 10 years, not by studying harder, but by speaking more, daily, imperfectly, consistently. This is the compounding effect, like investing $1 every day, small at first, but unstoppable over time. And the result is a new identity. Create a ritual. 2 minutes of shadowing, one sentence out loud after waking up, one small interaction in English. No more waiting for motivation. Build it through motion. The goal isn't perfection, the goal is momentum. And once you build it, your old self can't catch up. So commit. 30 days. No excuses, no overthinking, no disappearing. Speak something every single day, even if it's just, I'm tired, but I'm trying. That sentence alone can rewire your brain, because what transforms you is not the years you waited. It's the 30 days you finally acted. People think living abroad starts when you land at the airport, but it doesn't. It begins the moment you open your mouth and say something in English, even if it's small, even if it's wrong, because before that, you're just existing between walls of sound you can't break, silent, present, but not truly living. One day, she spoke to the woman in the elevator. Just one sentence. Nice weather today. The woman smiled, replied, asked something back. For the first time, she didn't run. She replied, slowly, but confidently. That was the moment she became visible. Not just physically, sir, but socially. Seen, heard, real. And when people see you speaking, they stop seeing you as the outsider. They see a person, a voice, a presence. A woman at work finally invited her for lunch after hearing her speak in English. Not because she was fluent, but because she was human, and fluency begins with connection. Then came the respect shift. People stopped speaking at her and started speaking with her. She asked a question at her child's school. She made a request at the bank. She called customer service without panic. These aren't just English tasks, they're life tasks, and now they were finally hers to own. She applied for a job she once thought was impossible, not because her English was perfect, but because her courage had grown faster than her grammar. And when she got the interview, she did something new. She introduced herself in English, slowly, proudly. That alone changed the way they saw her. And it's not just the words. When you speak, Your whole posture changes. You look up more, you walk differently, eye contact returns. People notice. They might not even know what changed, but you do, because you're no longer hiding behind maybe later. You're leading with, I'm trying today. This ripple effect is real. She made one confident request, then joined one group chat, then met one neighbor, and suddenly her days were filled with human moments, not just errands and survival, all because she dared to speak. English wasn't the goal, life was. English was the door. So when people ask her, when did life abroad truly begin for you? She doesn't say the day she arrived. She says, the day I said my first real sentence. Because in that moment the country stopped being a map and started becoming a home. Why didn't I start earlier, she asked herself, staring at the ceiling in a room that once felt too big for her voice. The answer came softly, because fear was louder than desire. Fear said, you'll embarrass yourself. Fear whispered, you're not ready. But one day desire finally whispered back, so what? And that changed everything. She sat on the bus, watching a child explain something to his mom in perfect English. Simple, effortless, honest. That used to be me, she thought, before the fear, before the silence. And something inside her broke, not in pain, but in possibility. She said out loud, today, fear is not in charge. What am I afraid of now, she asked, not speaking badly, not forgetting words, not being laughed at. No, she was afraid of wasting another year, another month, another day watching her own life like a movie she wasn't in. She opened her phone and said in English, next year I will not be the same. She wrote her 12-month vision in a notebook, not as a goal, as a decision. I will have full conversations. I will meet people without panic. I will make mistakes, but I will not disappear. Every sentence she wrote was a rebellion against who she used to be, and that rebellion felt like coming home. Who am I becoming? She asked next, and for once she didn't hesitate. I'm becoming someone who doesn't apologize for taking up space. She stopped saying, sorry for my English. She started saying, thank you for your patience. I'm learning. And with that one shift, she took back her power. She practiced one bold sentence every morning. I have something to say. My voice matters. I belong here. Some days she whispered it. Other days she shouted it alone in the kitchen. But she never skipped it. Because confidence isn't a feeling, it's a muscle, and now she was training it. What happens next? She asked, standing in the mirror, and this time she smiled, because now she didn't need to know every answer. She just needed to stay visible, stay active, stay awake. No more waiting, no more hiding. English wasn't her goal anymore. It was her gateway to everything else. She pressed record on her phone, not for anyone else, for herself. She said, this is day one, and I am done hiding. That recording wasn't perfect, but it was real. And for her, that day wasn't just about English, it was about reclaiming her freedom, one brave sentence at a time. You've just walked through the story of 10 years lost in silence, and one voice that finally broke free. But this isn't just someone else's story. It's yours too. If you've ever avoided speaking because of fear, if you've ever felt your heart race when someone said, can you speak English? If you've ever hidden in the background, knowing you could say more, if only the words would come. So now I ask you, what's the sentence you've been too afraid to say? What's the version of you that's still waiting for permission to speak? And what would your life look like if you stopped hiding behind maybe later and started speaking now? Remember, English is not just a language, it's a key. And what it unlocks is not just opportunity, but identity. When you finally speak, your real life, your full, connected, powerful life begins. You don't need perfect English to change your future. You need one bold sentence, spoken today, spoken with your whole heart. And if this video touched something inside you, if it made you feel seen, understood, and ready to rise, don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to this channel, leave a comment sharing your story, activate notifications, because every week we're not just learning English, we're learning how to live again. This is your moment, and your voice is finally ready.